We here on Media Mementos have already made it abundantly clear that we think that LazyTown is one of the most, if not the most, perfect children's show ever made. It's fun, it's funny, it's vibrant, and it doesn't treat its audience like idiots, whether they're kids or adults. What more do you want, right? But today I'm gonna talk about one of the very few things that LazyTown did not get right, but to be fair, it's not their fault, they weren't allowed to get it right. I'll explain it in a moment. So LazyTown was cancelled twice by Nick Jr. Once after the second season and one after the fourth. Both times they didn't really have a finale, they just kinda stopped. This is Nickelodeon's fault for two reasons. One, they cancelled it with no warning, and two, they don't let people really have finales unless you're huge. Jimmy Neutron barely got to have a finale at all with the League of Villains. And of course, Nickelodeon messed that up by airing it midway through season 3, but let's not focus on that, right? Not even shows like The Fairly Odd Parents were allowed to have a finale. Let that sink in. So why would LazyTown be able to have one? Answer: they wouldn't, especially because it's a children's show, and obviously, if kids don't see a definitive end, they're gonna keep coming back week after week, silently hoping that every rerun is a brand new episode, or hey, even better, they're obviously so stupid that they won't remember any episode at all. So that means any episode that happens to be reran, they're gonna think it's a new one, right? Nickelodeon's a terrible place, I'm just gonna say that right now. But now, since the Lorax video was such a hit, it's time for us here on Media Mementos to tell you how we would have made a LazyTown finale. So first off, this episode is gonna be a little bit, I guess I'd say darker than the others, but not by a lot. So in the show, Stephanie comes to visit her Uncle Milford in LazyTown, right? Well, what happens when she has to go back home? After all the craziness, after all the adventures, after all the friends she's made, do you really think she's gonna like being dragged all the way back to wherever it is she came from? Where should she be from? Okay, let's say, Omaha, Nebraska. She now has to go back to Omaha because her parents are ready for her to come home. It's been a while and they want her to go back to her old school with her old chores and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we wouldn't want the parents to seem mean or anything. Their whole point is, you've been in LazyTown long enough, time to come back home, okay? We never see Stephanie's parents either. It's just Uncle Milford and then Stephanie herself talking to them over the phone. Just kind of one of those situations where it's like, oh, who's this? Oh, hello, Stephanie's parents, how are you? That kind of thing. Then we cut to Robbie in his underground lair trying to sleep, but of course those ding-dang puppet kids are playing some kind of sport game, and it's keeping him up, and he's mad, and then he has one of his Robbie Rotten stand-up routines, as I like to call them. Basically, it's just Robbie being silly and goofy and all that sort of stuff. He does it in basically every episode, and let's face it, it's some of the best stuff in the entire show. The other kids see Stephanie, and they invite her over to come play with them, but she tells them that she's gonna be moving from LazyTown in the next couple days. Everyone is surprised at this, and they really don't want her to go. Just like how she feels, they've grown so attached to her that they can't imagine LazyTown without her. But still, they have no choice. Her parents have spoken, and it's time for her to go home. Stephanie leaves to go take in some of the scenes in the town one last time, and then the kids come up with an idea. They're gonna send Stephanie off in style. They're gonna throw a big, smashin' goodbye party. Pixel gets out his PDF and starts writing out a list of responsibilities that everybody needs to share in order to get the party ready. But of course, Stingy claims that all of them are his. Everyone's excited that Stingy is gonna be setting this whole thing up all by himself, so Ziggy, Trixie, and Pixel go off to spend time with Stephanie while Stingy realizes what exactly he's agreed to. So while he realizes that he can't do everything himself, Sporticus up in his airship realizes that, gasp, somebody's in trouble. And it's Stingy because, obviously, he's in a little bit of a tight space. Sporticus comes down and Stingy gives him the rundown of everything that's going on. Sporticus agrees that they should make a goodbye party for Stephanie, so he helps Stingy get right to work. While the other kids are talking to Stephanie, sharing stories about their past adventures, and Sporticus and Stingy are setting up for the party, with Milford and Miss Busybody joining in later, Robbie's still in his subterranean lair. He's using his periscope device to take a look at the streets of LazyTown, only to find that nobody's there. The town is empty and quiet, and it's kind of unsettling, but also a sort of welcome surprise. Basically, I imagine the scene to go like this. Hey, don't believe it! There's no running, there's no jumping, there's no playing, there's no... anything! What is going on here? Wait... Since there's nothing going on and Sporta Flippity-Floppity is not running around and jumping and dancing or whatever it is he does, I can finally get back to sleep! No, not that position. No! What is going on? For the first time in my entire life, I'm restless. Things just aren't the same without Sportaflop and that pink-haired girl around. Over the last few years, I've been trying to make sure that LazyTown stays lazy. But now that it is again, I don't know what to do. It's just not the same. Robbie Rotten realizes that he needs his nemesis, Sporticus, in order to get any joy out of life anymore, because he's so accustomed to trying to stop Sporticus from being all excitable and energetic that without him, he doesn't really have a purpose anymore. I mean, what else is he gonna do? Just lay around? After everything else he's done, it just doesn't feel quite right. So Robbie uses one of his handy-dandy disguises to become the Great Robaldo, a reference to the soccer player Ronaldo. He goes up, finds Stephanie, Ziggy, Pixel, and Trixie, and invites them to play soccer with him. In his mind, if he can get them to play sports again, then Sporticus will come and join in, then he can finally duke it out with his nemesis and get things back on track. Just as he's proposing the game, Stingy and Sporticus come by and decide that this is a great idea. They're all gonna join in. During this scene, there'd probably be a song or something about sports or getting up and going or soccer or something. But during this, Robaldo is very clearly not the best at his sport. Even though he's apparently a 17-time champion, he doesn't know how to kick a ball, he's very easily tired, and he's also easily distracted by Sportaflop there. But eventually, Robbie manages to score a goal, and then he starts rubbing it in everybody's face. But while he's distracted with doing that, Sporticus scores a goal for the other team, so that means Robbie has to be on defense again and try to reclaim his glory of scoring that one goal. Over this time, he actually ends up having fun. Now, this isn't some kind of crazy twist where it's like, oh, the villain turns good out of nowhere. If you think about it, this has always kind of been foreshadowed throughout the entire series. Despite the fact that Robbie is very lazy and lethargic and eats junk food all the time, he's surprisingly fit. He also puts in a lot of effort to all of his schemes, some of which are quite physically taxing. So that means that even if he might not admit to liking sports or being active in some respect, there's probably somewhere deep down in him that actually likes it, especially when he wins. Also, it's a children's show about being active and eating healthy. You're not gonna see a scene where the main villain gets burnt at the stake then crushed by a fire truck. No, like most kids' shows, he's probably gonna end up finding out that the good guys were right all along. And sure enough, even though he's not great at it, Robbie ends up realizing that he had a fun time playing soccer, just as his disguise falls off and everyone reveals that it was Robbie the whole time. Robbie tries to defend himself, saying that it was all part of his evil plan, but Sporticus knows better. He ends up forcing out of Robbie that, indeed, he did have a good time. And he invites Robbie to join him and the others whenever they play another sport game, hoping that Robbie enjoys that one too. Robbie is really hesitant because obviously he just wants to lay down and eat junk. But then he starts thinking about how much fun he had and then he gets kinda conflicted. But then this ends up tipping him over the edge. He ends up finding out that Stephanie is leaving. Even more conflicted now, Robbie goes back to his lair and then thinks things over. And he realizes that, no, he doesn't want her to leave. She's part of that dynamic that he needs so much. So he may as well do the right thing and go to the party, but only to cause some drama, so that way they can have one last little go-around. Robbie does end up coming to the party and everyone continues to share some of the fun events that they had over the course of the series, basically amounting to a mini clip show. There, Robbie keeps trying to start something, but is only met with kindness in return. Eventually, her parents call to check in on her and see how she's doing, but then she gives a speech about how much she loves LazyTown and Obviously she'll come back home someday, but she's just not ready yet. Everyone agrees with this, although Robbie's just kind of sheepishly going along with it. And wouldn't you know it, her parents agree she's gonna stay in LazyTown for just a little bit longer. They don't really say how long, but she's still gonna be there for the foreseeable future. Everyone's really excited that Stephanie's gonna stay. So, to celebrate, Milford says that they're all gonna go play baseball. Sportacus invites Robbie, and, surprisingly, he agrees. We see the end of the game where Robbie's team wins and he gloats. Sportacus realizes that he's having fun, and Robbie's still trying to deny it, but then ends up coming clean saying yeah, he's enjoying the active lifestyle and he's gonna see if he can maybe fit it into his busy schedule of sleeping and lounging. Obviously leaving the door open for some off-screen development, which will be left completely up to the viewer. How far do you think Robbie's gonna go with his new lifestyle? How far do you think he's gonna go with making friends with the others? As we've discussed in Character Quest Robbie Rotten not too long ago, what he really wants above all else is to be viewed like Sportacus. He wants everybody to admire him and to be his friend. And now it looks like it's finally gonna happen. We're not gonna give the audience definitive answers, it's up to them to decide, but we're kinda nudging them in a certain way, showing them that Robbie may just get what he wanted after all. Maybe not to the extent that he wanted, but it could happen. And then of course it all ends with the Bing Bang song, and that's it. That's how we feel LazyTown would have ended. Robbie's character arc would have been completed, we would have seen a little bit more about Stephanie's life back home, and of course, all the characters that the audience came to know and love over the course of however many years LazyTown was on get a lot of focus. We feel that this is an episode that provides enough fan service to get by, but not too much to the point where it gets distracting. It wraps up all the loose ends that were left hanging from the original show, while also leaving the door open for fans to determine what happened next. How long does Stephanie stay? Does Robbie really become part of the main group, or is he kind of a semi-regular member like Miss Busybody or Mayor Meanswell? So yes, this is how we would have done the LazyTown finale. Well folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? Do you like this finale? Would you like to see more How I Would Have Made It? Comment below and let me know, because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say, though we don't take requests, not even for these, but we do want to see if you'd like to see this series come back. We love doing them, and you guys seem to like them, presumably because at the time of recording only one of them is out, but still, comment below and let us know, because we're always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Today's comment of the day is very fitting because it comes from the last LazyTown video we did. Isn't that nice? And it comes from one of our Patreon executive producers, Leaf Razor. It's very telling that on the Clip Show episode where every character talks about their favorite song, Robbie doesn't mention Master of Disguise or even Lazy Scouts. He chooses You Are a Pirate. The one time in the first season where all the kids in LazyTown were just having good fun with him, cunning evil plans aside. You know, I actually never really thought about that, but yeah, you've got a really good point there. Robbie only focuses on the one time where he gets to be the cool kid, so to speak. Yeah, he's pretending to be a pirate guy, but still, he's having fun with people who think that he's a friend. And as we discussed in that video, that's all he ever really wanted. Just goes to show why the show works so well, right? Real quick, I'd like to thank our Patreon executive producers, Reziel, Leaf Razor, Azarius, Michaela Bellamy, Whoop-Doo, and MD the Dude. If you two would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to our Patreon, which has a link in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time!